Welcome to Weekly China Recap with Xing Zheming, your trusted source for key updates and sharp insights on China, powered by Taskforce Consultancy. This week, we turn our attention to escalating trade tensions between China and the European Union, following a major development in Europe's procurement policy. On June 3rd, EU member states voted to apply the International Procurement Instrument, or IPI, for the very first time, specifically targeting Chinese medical device manufacturers. Under this decision, Chinese firms will be excluded for the next 5 years from participating in public tenders in the EU medical sector worth over 5 million euros. The move comes after a 9-month investigation into China's procurement practices. According to the European Commission, China has drastically increased its medical exports to the EU, a surge of over 100% between 2015 and 2023, while simultaneously turning a trade deficit into a 5.2 billion euro surplus in just 1 year. The EU claims this was achieved through discriminatory policies that favor domestic suppliers in China's public procurement system. This could significantly impact China's access to the EU's 160 billion euro medical device market, covering a wide range of products from diagnostic equipment to digital health solutions. Germany, France, Italy, and Spain are the region's largest buyers. From Brussels to Beijing, the reactions have been swift and firm. China's Ministry of Commerce and Ministry of Foreign Affairs have strongly opposed the EU's decision, labeling it as discriminatory, unilateral, and protectionist. The spokesperson of China's Ministry of Commerce urged the EU to correct what it sees as a misguided approach and warned that China will closely monitor the situation and take necessary actions to firmly defend the legitimate rights of its businesses. The China Chamber of Commerce to the EU in Brussels also expressed serious concerns. The chamber, founded in 2018 by major players like Bank of China, China Three Gorges, and Costco Shipping, represents over 1,000 Chinese companies operating across Europe. The chamber acts as a voice of Chinese businesses in the EU, tracking policy shifts, pushing back on unfair barriers, and speaking up when the rules feel rigged. It called on the EU to reconsider whether punitive measures serve the long-term interest of either side, and warned that overusing tools like the IPI could turn policy instruments into trade barriers. The chamber warned that the move undermines years of mutual trust and cooperation, particularly in the healthcare sector, where European companies have historically benefited from access to the Chinese market. Now it's important to look at the other side of the equation. China's own medical equipment industry is growing rapidly and expanding to the global markets. In 2023, China's medical device market reached 1.27 trillion yuan, roughly $175 billion, up over 10% from the previous year. It's now the world's second largest single-country market, only behind the United States. For years, global giants like GE, Philips, and Siemens dominated this space. But today, whether it's large machines like CT and MRI scanners, or specialized products like neurovascular stents and intraocular lenses, more and more high-quality, made-in-China medical technologies are entering hospitals and operating rooms across the country. According to the Chinese Medical Equipment Association, domestic high-end devices have made substantial breakthroughs in recent years. In key segments like medical imaging, surgical robots, and clinical diagnostics, Chinese brands already account for more than 40% of the local market, and that share is expected to exceed 55% by 2030. This shift is being driven by both innovation and policy. Government initiatives like centralized procurement and volume-based purchasing have helped Chinese companies scale quickly and secure hospital contracts. At the same time, ongoing trade frictions with the US and now the EU are making some hospital administrators more cautious. Many now prefer to source from domestic brands to avoid future supply chain disruptions or import restrictions tied to foreign suppliers. It's worth noting that China is not alone in implementing national procurement preferences. The United States has the Buy American Act, and Japan, despite being a GPA member, also gives advantages to domestic suppliers in regulated sectors. So when the EU imposes new procurement restrictions under the IPI, it's not just about trade protectionism, it's happening at a very delicate moment. China's medical tech industry is moving from being a follower to becoming a competitor, and in some areas, even a leader. What we are witnessing may be more than a trade spat. It could signal a deeper reshuffling of the global medical supply chain. Still, the EU's decision sends a powerful signal and comes amid broader structural tensions in the China-EU economic relationship. Over the past 2 decades, trade between China and the EU has expanded dramatically, growing from $125 billion in 2001 to $783 billion in 2023. But the nature of this trade has shifted, and so have the disputes. While China's exports have evolved toward high-tech, high-value products like the EVs, batteries, and solar panels, EU exports have grown more slowly, concentrated in pharmaceuticals, precision instruments, and aircraft parts. With this structural imbalance has come a growing strategic anxiety in Europe, leading to the de-risking strategy now favored in Brussels. EU leaders increasingly fear over-dependence on China in critical sectors like rare earth, electronic vehicles, and medical technologies. Meanwhile, China sees many of these moves, including investment screening and proposed EV tariffs, as part of a broader trend of politicized trade and protectionism. Just this month, for example, Chinese EV giant BYD overtook Tesla in electronic vehicle registrations in Europe for the first time, a symbolic moment, highlighting China's growing competitiveness on the global stage. And yet, this growing commercial presence in Europe stands in contrast to European companies' struggles in China, where firms face tightening regulations, more aggressive local competition, and limited access to procurement. Amid this friction, there is still room for diplomacy. But make no mistake, the stakes are high. For China, the EU remains the vital market, especially as trade tensions with the US intensify. And for the EU, its long-standing relationship with China is entering a new phase, one shaped by strategic recalibration, industrial policy, and growing geopolitical pressure. We'll continue to follow this story closely. Thanks for listening to Weekly China Recap. I'm Xing Zheming. I appreciate you spending your time with me. If there is a story you are curious about or a topic you'd like us to explore, feel free to reach out. Your thoughts and questions help shape the conversations we bring to the show. Take care and stay sharp. I'll see you next week. Goodbye.